Welcome to the EOB Podcast, where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I'm Benno, and joining me is Sen Duong. So, Sen, are you ready for another podcast?
Yes, I am. Let's do it.
All right, let's go. So last weekend we have 3 new releases. I think all in all we were
Pretty off?
a bit off. Yeah, a bit off on all 3 of our projections, right?
I think most people were pretty off. Let's start with Logan.
All right, it's the number 1 movie of the weekend, right? It pulled in 85 million.
Yeah, which is just a little bit more than the first standalone Wolverine movie, which made about 85 million too. But it's way better than the second one. The second one opened to like 53 million or something.
Yep. So I predicted the movie to open around 45 to 50. You say 60 to 65.
Right.
And the 85 million opening is way higher than that. So you're going to explain to us why, right?
Yeah. I briefly mentioned it last week. The first Wolverine was hot off of the X-Men series, and those were pretty well reviewed. And so the 85 million by the original Wolverine was from all the goodwill of the previous X-Men movies. But then a lot of people, didn't like it. The reviews were crap. The word of mouth was crap. So that affected the second Wolverine, the Ill Will. The second Wolverine movie only opened to 53 million, despite better reviews, pretty good reviews, solid reviews, and despite decent word of mouth. But there were some goodwill generated by the second film. Also, because of the success of Deadpool, Fox made the film with an R rating, which a lot of fans, I guess, have wanted, because Logan, has these knife claws that I guess in the comic books is very bloody.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? Because the target audience for these types of movie are really teenagers, and teenagers, right? They want the edgier stuff, and the R rating, I think, is huge for this movie, like I said. But I thought that there might be some problems with the X-Men universe in general, so that might pull down this character.
Yeah, it has been, tapering off, especially with the last film, Apocalypse. That didn't do as well as expected. But the trailers were really good. The R rating helps, and it really showed that this is a very different superhero movie, a very different Wolverine movie, and I guess that got a lot of people interested. It's unique, it's different. It's not your typical superhero movie. It's not Marvel. It's not PG-13. It's not clean. It's not all fun and games. It's a lot more serious, and like you said, it's a lot edgier.
And also, I think it has besides the R rating, it has another thing in common with Wolverine. I mean, not Wolverine,
Deadpool.
with Deadpool. Yeah, Deadpool is that guess what? There's no world destruction. They don't need to save the world.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, although Deadpool has a little bit of it. I think the original Deadpool was more. There's no world destruction because they couldn't afford it. They wanted world destruction because at the end.
Well, that kind of helps it, right?
That helps it because the director what was his name? Tim Story? Tim Miller. Okay, Tim Miller. So the deal with Tim Miller is like James Cameron. He started his own. He was an effects guy, and he started his own effects company. And that's why they were able to make it for 58 million, because he was the director and it's his own effects company. He probably did a lot of it for cheap. Probably didn't charge the studio as much for it.
Yeah, and that's another thing, right? I mean, we have friends who are in the effects business, and they're saying, the effects people are in trouble because maybe of things like this.
Yeah.
They're not charging market rates.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of a special case because Tim Miller owns his own effects company and he's doing the movie. But you can tell that by the end of the movie, they wanted world destruction. They just couldn't afford it because it takes place in this humongous ship that gets they're fighting on top of it, and it gets flip over and all kinds of stuff gets destroyed. And I think, like Deadpool said, in one of the scenes, it's like, hey, how come there's only two of you here? Speaking of the 2 X-Men characters,
right?
And none of you are well known. And then he says that's probably because we don't have money to afford the other more well-known X-Men.
Yeah, true, but that adds to it, right? They took a weakness and turned it into a strength, and
exactly.
They use that for laughs.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of saying, "Oh, why couldn't we afford more well-known characters?" and they used that to add comedy to it.
It ended up being an advantage, kind of like what Steven Spielberg did, on Jaws. They couldn't afford or they couldn't make the shark animatronics work, so he just used the fin. and that turned out to be great. And it's a similar thing here where they can't afford world destruction, so they had to cut back, and it ended up being an advantage.
Right.
Although I think with Logan, they have this specific goal of not doing world destruction.
Right. Well, because it is based on a story that doesn't have world destruction. Kind of the world destruction happened before.
Right.
Kind of.
Right, exactly.
But let's get back to the Wolverine 85 million opening, and which a point that you made, it's proving true again. It's the next movie in the franchise is based on how well the next movie
does.
It depends on the previous movie, the goodwill from the previous movie, or lack of goodwill, in some cases, right? And you said that's the second movie, the second Wolverine movie is a better review, well regarded, but it just didn't get time to find the fans in theaters. With the 85 million opening, you can bet that it did very well on home video, right? So that means people can turn out to say, hey, the second movie is pretty good, and I guess that's why it leads to Logan's oversized performance here.
Yeah. Plus, it's also the marketing has been great. They definitely market this as a different kind of comic book movie. This is not your kid's comic book movie.
It's like a Western with like a superhero elements to it. It's really a Western, right?
Yeah. And, I saw it over the weekend, and with the trailers, I thought it would be a smaller kind of film, more serious, and it might not be as satisfying as the other superhero movies, but it surprised me. There were a lot of nice surprises, and even in terms of for the comic book audience, it's pretty satisfying.
Patrick Stewart is one of those actors that you really couldn't go wrong.
Yeah, it works for comic book fans and non-comic book fans, and your general audience. But here's the thing: Hugh Jackman has been saying that this is his last Logan, his last Wolverine movie. But with it doing so well reviewed, the box office even beat the most optimistic projections. I think most people optimistically projected maybe 65 million, at the highest, but it ended up doing way more than even that. So I don't know, maybe with it doing so well, maybe he might return. Who knows?
He might return, yeah. So it's a choice between like getting 20 million or having to work out a couple hours a day, right? So he needs to keep up that body, right?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the choice he needs to make.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So with the good reviews, right? Awesome reviews. It's like 93% still at Rotten Tomatoes. We can see this movie staying in theaters until the next superhero movie comes along.
Yeah, although Kong's gonna take a big bite out of it, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, true. But we're entering the months where it's like one big movie after another. So like I said, the money is there, but it depends on if the movie is appealing enough where people can watch, the new movies every weekend.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll keep an eye out for Logan, which is like I think it's gonna end up better than making more than the previous movie worldwide, the Wolverine. So if it's well reviewed here and it's well regarded here, I think it's gonna do even better overseas.
Right. I think what's the worldwide figure already? It's like already at like 238 million worldwide.
Oh yeah, about.
Yeah, 238 million worldwide. So it's doing pretty well overseas too. It did like 46 million over the weekend in China. Did pretty well elsewhere too. This one looks like it'll definitely do better than. It could be the best performing Wolverine movie easily, and it'll probably end up being one of the highest grossing X-Men movies worldwide.
Yeah, right. And Hugh Jackman is there after the movie opened. Got a call from the producer saying, "Hugh, hit the gym." Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move along to our second movie. It's the horror movie Get Out by Jordan Peele. It's continued to surprise it, and not because the second weekend it only experienced a about 22% drop off from the previous weekend. With a 26 million take.
Yeah, which is kind of unheard of for a horror film.
Wow.
So the word of mouth has been really good. Even if a horror film gets good word of mouth, it doesn't hold up this well. You're talking about, for context, horror films tend to drop off in the 60 to 65% range in the second weekend, and this one is 22%. That's better than a lot of non-horror films.
Yeah, it's one of those rare movies which experience like in a drop off in the 20 in the second weekend. Normally you get to see like 50%.
Yeah.
And the review is still 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, 99% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
As we said, some contrarian got that Rotten review in for the hits.
Yeah.
Someone did it. So it's still pretty, high ranked, well reviewed. In addition to the word of mouth, there, we can see this movie hold up.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be one of the like big successes of 2017. Maybe even all time. Right. Budget's only 4.5 million.
Yeah. So far, it's probably the best review film of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and with what's it? Let's see how many reviews already. Oh, 166 reviews. Just one bad. So this is a front runner for the Golden Tomato Award.
Yeah, and this point needs to be hammered in. This is a horror movie.
Yeah. This is easily the best review horror movie of all time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Not counting the classics like Rosemary's Baby and The Shining. You know what? I'll take it back. The best review horror film of recent time.
Right. It is recent time, but with these old reviews, I mean, I think it's just like it gets better with time, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think might not be well reviewed back then, but you can judge by its box office performance and its reviews. It went beyond a horror movie.
Yeah, it's not like those James Wan horror films like The Conjuring, where it's reached the mainstream audience. It's not just a horror film, the horror fans anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like those superhero movies, right? We say that even though they're superhero movies, they're more like thrillers. They're more like westerns, or they're more like action adventure, whatever. Like Get Out, I mean, it has like a wrapping of a horror movie, but I think there's more than that, right?
Yeah, there's social commentary. There's like you said, there's a thriller. But I think it continues that the trend started by James Wan lately, not with the Saw films, but like The Conjuring, is that they're more into clean horror films. No blood, no guts, just clean horror films.
Right. And this movie manages to pull it off beyond anyone's wildest imagination, right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, how about we move along to the third movie? Number 3, which is The Shack. It's the religious theme, a faith-based film starring Sam Worthington, Octavia Spencer, Radha Mitchell. Like we said in our preview in the last podcast, it's kind of like Will Smith's Collateral Beauty.
Yeah.
It's about a guy dealing with grief, from the death of his daughter.
Right.
And it managed to surprise at the box office because we were both not very high on this movie. I said 5 to 10 million 5 million opening, and you said 5 as well. And our reasoning for that is because, look, if Will Smith with all his star power and Helen Mirren with her fans couldn't pull it off, how could Sam Worthington and The Shack?
Yeah.
But it managed to open to 16 million over the weekend.
Yeah, and it's probably Sam Worthington's best non-Avatar opening. Like we said, these faith-based films is hard to they either do pretty well or they just completely disappear. Lately, they're getting named actors. They're not just like straight-to-video people, not B-list people. They're actually getting A-list people to make these films now, and this one is doing pretty well despite poor reviews. It's 16% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Right. But do you think that since it's based on a book that it helps it to this opening?
Maybe, but then we'll get to it. One of this weekend's new films, what was it? Before I Fall?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's based on a novel too, and that didn't do so well. So.
All right, so it is the faith-based element that is helping this. And again, like we said, these movies that's targeted toward that group were really unpredictable.
Yeah. You're not really sure which one the community will support.
Yeah, but the audience is there. That's why
Yeah.
they keep cranking these movies out. With these, like God is Not Dead movies.
Yeah.
And a couple others, right? They do really well when it hits the spot, I guess.
Although lately it looks like this new approach of getting recognizable Hollywood stars to make these movies have been kind of relatively successful.
Yeah, it's paying off.
Yeah,
it's paying off.
They're not like your Will Smiths, but Sam Worthington and
He was in the Avatar, right?
yeah, and Octavia Spencer, Wanda Mitchell, these kind of stars.
These actors, like, even though you don't know their names, right?
Yeah,
You've seen them.
Yeah, they're recognizable names. I mean, they might not open movies, but they're recognizable names. They're not just your direct-to-video stars.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, even direct-to-video, they're in movies people have seen.
Yeah, right.
They're recognizable. The face, you
Yeah.
might not know their name,
Right.
but you've seen their face.
Yeah. So it looks like this new approach has been paying off.
Yeah, and it's also the thing, like we say, right? Remember, before Marvel took over, like with the superhero movies, right? They aren't willing to invest that much money in these superhero movies, and once they did, it blows up.
Yeah, right.
It's the same thing with this faith-based film or any genre. I think if you
Yeah.
put in the money, you invest in the talent, it's gonna do well. Yeah, you still have your ups and downs, hits and misses.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But in
But
general,
I think
the
the thing is, what happens is that all these stars, with some of those commercial hits, the stars are willing to attach their names to it now. Number one, the studios, because they can see that these films can make a lot of money, they can actually invest in stars with name recognition. And the stars, can look at these movies and no longer think they're C or D tier projects.
Yeah, sure, but most important color is green, right? You pay them the money, they'll appear. Like, you might not get the A-listers, right? Because their schedule's always full. But there are some other people, the lower ones, probably willing because, hey, the pay's good.
Yeah, I'm sure if they're willing to spend $20 million on an A-lister, they'll make it too.
Right, sure. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I don't think the genre is at a point where they can afford to pay someone $20 million yet.
Right, but it's getting to the point where like studios saying, "Hey, there's a market."
Yeah, there's a market, and they can afford people like Sam Worthington and Octavia Spencer, but they can't afford Robert Downey Jr. yet.
Right, because his slate is full, right? He's always
Yeah.
busy, right? He can pay 1 year $20 million for one movie, or a couple other odd jobs or whatever for a couple thousand, right?
Yeah.
Or 100,000 or whatever,
Right.
So okay, I guess the important thing is, like, it opened well. I'm not sure what the budget for this is, because it does contain special effects. So that means it's gonna be somewhere in the, like, even the cheapest one's probably gonna be maybe 25 to 30 million, I think.
Yeah. I don't think they're gonna go any more than that. For a faith-based film.
Right, that's true. But before they can make a straight drama with no special effects, and it probably could run into, like, from 1 to 10 million.
Yeah.
But this one is probably in the 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
For this one, so the 60 million opening is promising. So we'll see how well it holds up the following weeks.
Yeah. Right. All right. Let's move on to the next film on our list, the Lego Batman movie. It did 11.7 million over the weekend at a drop off of 40%. It has grossed 149 million domestically so far, and let's see, worldwide is at 257 million with a budget of 80 million. It's doing pretty good, although not nearly as good as the Lego movie, but hey, it's solid.
It's already in its fourth weekend already. The worldwide take is 256 million. I'm not sure how wide it's released right now or worldwide, but it's one of the bigger successes for the Lego brand.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to see how well the Ninjago movie will do, to see how this whole Lego world building thing can get.
Yeah, I think the Lego brand is actually gonna be one of the money makers for Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
because like I said, 80 million. If they keep the budget to around 80 million, it's gonna make way more than that.
Right.
And these movies kind of hit the spot with kids
Yeah.
and adults who are into Legos.
Yeah. Right.
So I don't see it failing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them stop making these Lego movies, and unless Lego wants a bigger cut
Right.
from Warner Brothers, saying, hey, we want to up our licensing costs.
Yeah.
Right. So I think they'll keep cranking these out.
Yeah. Right. All right. Let's move on to the next film on our list. This is the third new release of the weekend. Before I Fall, we mentioned it. It's based on a best-selling YA novel, and it's pretty much Groundhog Day for teenagers. And as we mentioned last week, the genre has been declining rapidly. There are all these franchises that have trouble getting to the third film because the ticket sales have dropped off so precipitously from film to film.
Yeah, we're talking about Maze Runner and the Divergent series.
Yeah, and even the Hunger Games, the last Hunger Games film didn't do nearly as well as the previous films. And this one, no one cared. It's despite solid reviews.
And as you said, mentioned before, right? Does it being based on a book affect the box office performance of The Shack? And Before the Fall is also based on a book.
Yeah.
And you say it didn't. In this case, at least.
Yeah, like I said before, the reviews are solid. 68% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's just couldn't find an audience. That YA group seems pretty fickle. They don't want to watch these movies anymore.
Yeah, I mean, with the recent releases, maybe the Edge of 17, right? That one was very well reviewed, but it failed to find an audience.
Right.
What are a couple others? Before I Fall, and my mind's drawing a blank right now, but there are a couple of movies targeted toward the teens that didn't find an audience, like this one.
Remember what we said at first? Last week we thought maybe the reason for the precipitous drop by the Maze Runner or the Divergent series was because they're so similar. Like the Hunger Games, it's always about this teenage girl and they have to go through some kind of obstacle, or teenage boys and they have to go through some kind of obstacle. And here, we have one that's completely different, but still people are like, I don't care. Well, maybe because this is so similar to Groundhog Day or even the Edge of Tomorrow that people just are like, we've seen this in so many iterations already.
True, but do you think TV affects it somewhat as well? These kind of stories you think might work better on TV, or they have seen something similar on TV, something like this. Maybe that's where the YA crowd went to TV.
I don't know.
Right, we don't know, but we're here to offer explanations.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like they're going to the movies. Well, they're going to the movies, but they're going to movies like Get Out or some of the horror movies, the other horror movies. But they don't seem to be going into these movies that are made specifically for them.
That is true too, right? Like Logan, Get Out, even the Lego Batman movie kind of fall within that crowd as well.
I don't know. I would say mainly Get Out. I don't know about Logan. I think is a different crowd.
Well, still, I think there are some crossovers, and every little bit kind of chips away at its box office.
Yeah, but not directly though. Like the Lego Batman movie, I don't think directly affects them.
Right, and what started all this, right? The movie that started all this, the YA genre. Theaters, just the Twilight books, right? The Twilight movies.
Yeah.
And then they scramble to find out all these trilogies to make, like the Hunger Games, the Maze Runner, and the Divergent series, and even like the City of Bones that they try to do, and they all failed. Well, one way or another. I mean, not all of them failed, but performance-wise, they continue to drop.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think another movie that falls within this YA genre that led box office analysts like us to say, hey, the YA genre doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Another data point.
the nail in the coffin for them. Well, who knows? I mean, the problem is that you have all those successful franchises not being able to even make it to the release of their last films. You know, I think all those are going direct to video, and then you have this one that people just kind of blink their eye and nod and shrug.
Yeah, right. Shrug. Yeah, that's the term for it. Shrug.
Yeah, it's just kind of like meh.
Okay. How about we move along to number 6? John Wick Chapter 2. It put in 4.7 million over the weekend. You know, experienced a roughly 50% drop from the previous weekend. Domestic gross is 82 million and worldwide is at 144.
Yeah, pretty solid for a film. I think the budget was about 40 million. Domestically, it's already made twice as much as the first film.
Yeah, as we said in the previous weeks, this one was movies that the second movie is better reviewed than the first, and it outperformed its box office. And again, it leads to your saying that the halo effect from the first movie affect the subsequent release, and that's what we see with happened with Chapter 2.
Yeah, it looks like we can expect even better things for Chapter 3. Because there's a lot of goodwill on this one too. I mean, this one not only did it destroy the first film critical acclaim, but it also destroyed the first film at the box office.
Oh right, yeah. The thing is like the first movie looks like one of these generic action movies, right? Mm-hmm. That takes place in the criminal underworld, but it overperformed. I guess it gained a lot of audience on home video, and the second movie, proved that people like what they saw and come back for more. Yeah,
from the reviews, it seems like they expanded on this whole world, this John Wick world, this whole mobster world, assassins or mobsters or
Right, the world's full of assassins just living, within our midst.
Yeah. Okay. They're building their own cinematic universe too.
Right. And then we see Liam Neeson reprising his role. A crossover.
Yeah, right.
All right. So our next movie, I think, is at number 7. Hidden Figures. It pulled in 3.8 million. Nothing more to say. Continues to hold up well. Domestic gross is 158, and the worldwide take is 194.
The worldwide figure is now at 195 million. Of course, most of it is from domestic. Nothing more we can say about it. It's still kind of leggy and it's still hanging in there.
So that means we move on to the next one, which is number 8, The Great Wall.
And it's not hanging on.
Matt Damon is not hanging on. The thing is, like saying, walls are not popular right now in this environment.
Yeah, it's not.
Bad timing. So it's that Matt Damon China co-production movie
with Zhang Ziwu and Andy Lau.
Right. So it pulled in 3.5 million. Experienced a higher 61%.
Yeah.
In its third weekend. So it's this huge drop off week after week.
Yeah.
So far, it only made domestically 41 million.
Yeah, but worldwide it's at 320.
Well, like the Warcraft movie. It's doing well overseas.
This is a little bit different because the Warcraft movie, it made most of its money from China, whereas this one, it made 170 from China, but it did 100 million in other countries too. For some reason, it worked pretty well overseas, everywhere except the U.S. Well, I mean, if you think about the U.S. as a secondary market, it's not bad. If China was its main market, and if everywhere else is the second market, it's not bad because it made nearly as much everywhere else as in China.
Right, but it's still I guess this movie just proves that these East-West things, or even Eastern films, right, from especially coming from China, are still not ready for prime time here. That's why they put Matt Damon in there.
Yeah.
Even with Matt Damon's star power, it's still not enough to lift this movie above 50 million, 60 million.
Okay, you know what? I take it back with what I said about Warcraft only doing well in China. It actually made 386 million overseas, and 200 of that is from China, but the other 186 was from other markets. So
All right.
So, like Warcraft, if China was its main market and everywhere else is considered a secondary market, it's considered pretty successful, and not bad. Here's the thing, I was reading reports how they say, oh, they're going to lose 70 million from the Great Wall. And a lot of these reports, when they do these write-downs, they don't include the home video market, which is significantly bigger than the theatrical market. If they think they're going to have a $70 million write-down just based on theatrical, they might make that up on home video.
Well, sure. I mean, it just depends on the time frame, right? But if you stretch a movie to the end of time, eventually it's going to make money.
Well, not the end of even if I'm saying even
what
if,
I'm saying, right?
Well, even if the thing is when they do these write-downs, they don't include the home video market, and even if you don't stretch it to the end of time, even if you just did it, the home video market like just a year after its theatrical release, you'll probably make that back.
Oh yeah, sure, but it's just like it's an accounting practice where they book losses this year and then they'll book profit next year with the home video.
Yeah.
So it's just an accounting trick, right?
Yeah, when they write about these losses, they need to start including the home video market because it's a very significant amount.
Well, sure, but you won't have anything to write if you do that, right? You want the here and now. You can wait a couple years later or a year later to write, oh, the Great Wall made money, It's all about the headlines, all about views, like eyeballs, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Great Wall is doing about as well as, what's that, Guillermo del Toro robot
Pacific
movie?
Rim?
Yeah, Pacific Rim. And that one, they're doing a sequel. If you just look at Pacific Rim and you just look at the theatrical amount, that could be a $100 million write-down too, but eventually they make it back to home video within a year or so. And that's why when they do these write-downs, it's odd that the studios, they don't release home video figures anymore other than rankings. Like this one is the most rented, this one is the sold the most units, but they don't release any figures anymore. It's weird that they're doing it this way now instead of saying, well, it did this well, we estimate that it's going to make this much on home video and eventually it'll either break even or make the profit.
Yeah, sure. I think it's just me being a conspiracy theorist, right? They don't release figures because it's all about the money, right? I guess they don't want to pay out to other people.
Yeah, you're right. It is about taxes. They can say they have a write-down this year, and then next year they can book a profit.
Right. All right. Okay, so I guess that's it for the Great Wall. Let's move on to number 9. 50 Shades Darker pulled in about 3.5 million over the weekend. Experienced another 55% drop-off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not another 55% drop, but experienced another high drop-off with about 55% in its fourth weekend. Domestic gross is 109, and the worldwide gross is 356 million. As we said, it's not doing well here, but it's doing great overseas compared to the first movie.
You know what? Compared to the first film, it's actually, the first film did about nearly 600 million worldwide. It's still going to make huge profits, but I think in terms of domestic and foreign, it's a pretty decent drop.
It is, but it only costs like 55 million to make, so the huge profits.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, they're going to make huge profits, but the drop from the first film is still pretty significant. There's still enough to release a third film because of the budget, but they're probably not going to split the third film into a fourth film.
No, that was what everyone was afraid, and I think that's probably why I guess some of the YA novels didn't produce, especially the last Hunger Game movie, right? Yeah. They broke that up into 2 movies. Yeah,
so one of those films making huge profits, but doing not nearly as well as the first film.
All right, and I guess the reviews for the second 50 Shades Darker movie is 9%, and if you go by the rule that you pointed out, that the halo effect from the previous movie, that means it doesn't look good for the third movie.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
9%.
Yeah.
Okay, how about we round out the top 10 with La La Land. It pulled in about 3 million over the weekend. It still hasn't an Oscar bump, judging by the drop-off of only about 37%, kind of like Hidden Figures. Domestic gross is 145, and the worldwide take is
nearly 400 million.
396. Yeah. It didn't win big at the Oscars, right? But it won enough, and it's winning at the box office, theaters, and of course, home videos is still going to be huge for this movie as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about Moonlight, the film that won Best Picture. It experienced a bump, but it's still, it's like 2.5 million, despite being re-released to 1,000 more theaters. Total, it has grossed 25 million, but it looks like even with the Oscars, people are still thinking they'll probably wait for video.
It's already on home video.
Oh, it's already on home video? Okay.
It is. It's like it's already on 20 weeks. I think they released it on home video early.
Oh, okay.
And I see people buying the DVD or the Blu-ray.
Yeah. So it's gonna do really well on home video. But yeah, it's kind of weird that because it's already on home video, which probably explains why it didn't get that big of a bump. I mean, compared to what it's been doing, which was like below 1 million, this is a huge bump. But not that significant.
Right. And I think it's just the type of movie as well, right? I mean, something like La La Land or Hidden Figures.
Or more mainstream.
Yeah, or more mainstream. But Moonlight, the subject matter, right? With
about someone coming in terms
people
of
the wrong way, right?
Yeah.
It's still a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for the top 10. How about we move on to the lone new wide release this weekend? It's gonna be Kong Skull Island.
Yeah.
King Kong movie.
Yep. And it looks pretty good. The reviews, the trailer, it looks like the beginning of the summer season, popcorn movie season.
Right, and if this movie is rated G, they probably could call it Curious George.
Yeah.
Right. But it's rated PG, right? People might want a rated R for this movie, but as you say, it looks pretty good if you know what you're expecting.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not sure if people are looking for or waiting for this though.
Whatever. But they're gonna try to make it all right with the recent successes of these movies.
Right.
They follow the trend.
Right. But yeah, the reviews have been pretty good. 83% on Rotten Tomatoes with like 46 reviews already. And the word of mouth has been solid. It looks like a title version of Peter Jackson's King Kong movie. From the trailers.
Yeah. I see this movie as kind of a mix between, like that Dwayne Johnson movie, like Journey.
Yeah.
Those Journey movies,
yeah.
like with all the special effects. And also, it's kind of like has a mixture of Jurassic Park as well.
Yeah, it does. Although, I mean, the previous King Kong movie has that too. Although this one opens
but this
up
is more so.
Yeah, this one opens up even more.
This is more like about the creatures on this island.
Yeah.
With Kong as the top of the chain.
Yeah, not just
right?
dinosaurs, but like other creatures that we haven't seen in these King Kong movies.
Right. So that's why I see it as it has a touch of like Jurassic World and those Journey movies, like people coming in and explore this land.
Yeah.
And it looks fun.
Yeah,
right?
It looks fun.
It's always fun seeing King Kong kicks ass. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't need to wait until the end for him to kick ass.
Right.
You get to see it. It looks like it's like you there's all these other different fights.
Yeah. And they're not focused on
down.
and they're not focused on the drama.
Yeah, and there is really no story, right? It's these guys just appear on this island to do something, and action happens, right?
Yeah, right.
And that's all you need.
Yeah, and fun and popcorn and dinosaurs and all these creatures.
Right. Let's talk about who's in it. King Kong, obviously, but about the human characters, right? Tim Hiddleston, Brie Larson, Sam Jackson, John Goodman, Toby Kebbell, John C. Reilly. So a lot of good second tier people.
And Tian Jing, the one of the stars of the Great Wall.
Okay.
So this probably has one of these Chinese co-production labels too, I bet. Yeah, it's from Legendary Pictures, so that's probably why Tian Jing is in it.
For those who don't know, one of these Chinese companies bought Legendary, so they're sort of a Chinese company now.
Right.
And it's directed by Jordan Vogt Roberts. Not a lot of movies to his name. Mm-hmm. He directed the 2013 movie The Kings of Summer, kind of a low-key movie.
Right, and this looks pretty good. So what are you thinking?
Okay, let's see. So Peter Jackson's 2005 movie had a 50 million opening, right? Eventually went on to make 218 million. but only 332 million. And with the previous King Kong movies, it always seems to take a back seat to the Godzilla movies. It feels like Godzilla is kind of like the bigger character, more well-known character, I guess more of the appealing character. So we will see if this movie can break out of that. I mean, there's only so much you can do, right? Since he doesn't have any speaking parts. But I feel good vibes from this movie, right? Like you say, it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put it into, like I said, even though it has hints of Jurassic World or Jurassic Park, I don't think it's going to even reach up to the 208 million opening, but we don't know, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, definitely not that high.
Definitely not that high, right? So let's see. Jackson's movie, King Kong movie, had a 50 million opening this, and we just recently found out that Logan had a 83 million, 85 million opening, and it's also competing with the same crowd.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna do maybe about 55 to 60.
55 to 60.
That's because Logan, it's still gonna be huge. That's in the second weekend.
That's the thing. Hard to tell. I'll go a bit higher than you. I'll go like let me see what the budget is. Oh, it's not listed. Huh?
Oh, it's gonna be expensive.
Yeah, it looks really expensive.
That's why you don't see any like A-listers in here. You get to see people like John C. Reilly.
Yeah. The thing with Peter Jackson is, I think his King Kong opened during the winter season, and 50 million is pretty high during the winter season.
True, and that's also back in 2005 too.
Yeah, I'll go with the trailer. Looks pretty fun. I'll go with 70.
70 million. Okay, I think, like we said, we're in the spring. We're back to the season of irrational exuberance, right? Where every movie could probably break 100 million in its opening weekend. Yeah. We don't know. I mean, Logan almost did it. Yeah. Right? Kong, we'll see. I mean, because Logan is still in theaters. Kong is coming in, but we'll see if it can appeal. Like I said, King Kong has always been kind of like a second tier movie monster.
You think so?
I think so.
Godzilla is huge in Japan, but it's not. I mean, it's okay in the U.S. I mean, the two Godzilla movies. I mean, the first one was kind of disappointing, the Roland Emmerich one, but the previous one did pretty well, decent, but still domestically under 200 million. In the U.S., King Kong is a lot bigger than Godzilla.
I don't know. If you just count the number of movies made, more Godzilla movies made than King Kong.
Yeah, but that's mainly Japan, though. Outside of Japan, those those movies aren't that. It's a property. Is huge, but I think King Kong is a bigger property than Godzilla in the U.S. Not overseas, not in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But still, I guess in relation to like the other movie monsters, I always felt in terms of its treatment, at the movies. Or the number of movies that's made about them.
Yeah, the thing is,
King Kong has always fell below, Godzilla.
Well, the thing with King Kong is it's not like I think originally they only cranked out how many King Kong movies, like 3.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's not like Godzilla where in Japan they just keep on cranking them out, every other year. In Japan it's huge, but King Kong is like your typical movie franchise. You do 3 and it's done, and you reboot it. But I think in here, King Kong is still a bigger property than Godzilla.
Okay.
I have it at 70. You have it at 55.
55 to 60.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see if it meet expectations or disappoint, or if like Logan it exceeds expectations. But 83% I thought is pretty well reviewed, especially for a straight popcorn movie. A pure popcorn movie.
Okay, so we'll see if like you said. I mean, because Logan had the benefit of the previous movie, with the halo effect and all, right? Kong.
The thing is, I don't know how people perceive Peter Jackson's King Kong, because I mean the reviews were okay back then. He was coming off of the Lord of the Ring films. I think the reviews were like around 75%, if I remember correctly. But the word of mouth has always been it's kind of disappointing. Like people view it as 84%, but people view it, I think, over time in slightly negative terms. Like it's too long. It's
Yeah, let me take a quick look at the audience rating. Let's say the IMDb has 7.2.
audience
on
rating.
Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is 50%. So it's lower than what the tomato meter is.
Yeah. Because I mean, he was coming off the Lord of the Rings films, and I think a lot of critics, it's all the goodwill generated by that trilogy. So they kind of gave him a slight pass. I mean, I felt it was pretty entertaining, but I guess like over time, it wasn't perceived as well.
Yeah, the thing is with Kong, it's like they always kind of reboot the movies, right?
Yeah.
It's always okay. They're gonna take Kong from this island and move them into the most populated city on Earth, kind of like that. And then he captured a girl and climbed up the building, and he got shot down. It's kind of like that, right? But this Kong is a different story.
Yeah.
It seems like it's just like, oh, they're gonna stay on this island. They're gonna duke it out.
Yeah. Which is and this island has a lot more creatures and it's more open. I think the problem with King Kong is it's not like, unlike Godzilla, they pretty much have a different villain every other year for him to fight. Whereas King Kong is not. The original story was more Beauty and the Beast. Because Godzilla is more of a superhero movie. Every other week you let him fight another villain. Whereas King Kong is more of a drama. Like we said, it's kind of a Beauty and the Beast story kind of. And there's only so many movies you can make from that because King Kong wasn't perceived as a superhero like Godzilla was.
Yeah, with the original Kong movie, it's more like, oh, you found this thing, we're gonna take it back to make money.
Yeah.
But this one is more like, okay, we should leave these guys alone.
Yeah.
So that's why I see this, in a sense, is kind of like a new direction for the Kong franchise, hopefully.
Yeah.
So it's a different type of movie, more action-packed, kind of more in line with the Godzilla movies, except on a more reasonable scale.
Yeah, right.
Right, like Kong won't be fighting any like giant robots, for example.
You never know.
Three-headed dragons, this one is more like the natural creatures that's on that island. So
right.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see.
All right. So that's the long wide release this weekend because of, I guess, of the movie potential of this of Kong.
Yeah. Yep.
I guess people are just clearing this weekend out for them because
Yep.
Logan's in theaters now. Kong, they want to avoid that weekend.
Yep.
So we'll see how this movie will do. And like Logan, it could overperform our projections.
It looks like it will kind of overperform a little bit because the reviews are great, the trailer looks great.
Mm-hmm.
So it might overperform, like Logan.
Mm-hmm. Right. And like I say, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
We have these monster movies coming in, and it's not like, oh, another superhero movie. So
Yeah. Yep.
different is good.
Yeah.
All right, come back and see how we did.